Hello, and a welcome to my garden podcast. I'm out for my daily walk in the garden during lockdown. So I'm just doing some grounding work. I'm walking barefoot on the grass, and the sun has come out. You won't believe it, but just as I was getting ready to leave to go to the garden, there was, the sun was hiding behind a big cloud, and I was just thinking, oh no, I missed the sun because it was out in the morning. And then just as I was about to leave my bedroom, the sun came out, and I was like, wow, that is divine timing. I mean, that's just amazing. So it's really lovely now. The sky is really nice and blue, lots of white fluffy clouds, and the sun has come out, which is really nice. So it feels really nice and warm. So it just feels really good to just walk barefoot on the grass for my grounding work. So I found out that on IGTV you can actually upload videos that last for 15 minutes. So I'm just going to set a timer for 14 minutes. Can you hear the birds? They're really loud, aren't they? Lovely. I'm just going to set the timer for 40 minutes, and then just so that I can keep each podcast part under 15 minutes, and then I can upload them to IGTV. I also want to say that all the podcasts that I'm going to be recording that I share on IGTV, I'm also going to compile them all into one episode. So each episode, because I split them up into parts to upload them onto IGTV, but on YouTube I don't have to do that. So I just put them all together, splice them all together, and then upload the entire episode on my YouTube channel, which you can find. The link is in my bio on my IG channel. And so like yesterday's episode, the episode that I recorded on the 31st of March, it's about an hour long. So I just put the whole thing on my YouTube channel if you want to listen to it without having to listen to it in parts on the IG channel. So I thought I'd just put that out there. And yesterday I finally finished the recording I've been working on since last year of a bedtime sleep story. I've been recording Sleeping Beauty, so it's about an hour and 20 minutes long. So I just had to re-record the ending because there was noise interference. So I've done that. So now I just have to listen to the whole thing again to check for any noises or anything like that. And then hopefully I'll be able to publish it on my YouTube channel. So I will make a post about that on my IG channel. I'll put a 10-minute preview on my IG channel, and then if you want to listen to it, you can visit my YouTube channel. And it's just a really nice way to just fall asleep listening to a sleep story if you have trouble sleeping during these tumultuous times. I know for me, I love listening to sleep stories. I have the Calm app, and it's just really, really wonderful. It just really calms me down listening to stories, and it's just really, really wonderful. And then I got the inspiration. I was like, oh, I want to create my own sleep stories and put them up on my YouTube channel for people that don't have the Calm app. So that was the inspiration behind me wanting to record sleep stories. That's a really long introduction. I do ramble. I can talk for England. I can. Thank you, everyone, for all your wonderful, lovely, encouraging words and compliments. They mean so much to me, and they really, really encourage me to carry on with recording these podcasts. So I really, really appreciate each and every one of you, and I appreciate you right now. Listening to me ramble. So thank you so much. So let's get to the episode. So today I thought I'd mix things up a bit. So I'm going to do some readings from one of my favorite books by Dale Carnegie. And the book is called How to Stop Worrying and Start Living: Time-Tested Methods for Conquering Worry. So this book has been so amazing for me. I read it as a teenager, I think, and all the wisdom in there has really helped me for when, you come across negativity and people with negative energy and who want to attack you or bring you down. Even when you're trying to share the truth and you're trying to help them, they just, they just project all their anger and negativity onto you. So you need to find a way to protect your energy. You don't have to be around those type of people. And right now we're going through this massive purge, the great event, the great awakening. So it's, you're perfectly validated and perfectly vindicated to distance yourself from people that no longer serve you, from people that want to bring you down, from people that want to attack you for, being the light in the world, and for people who are hurting themselves or who are angry, and they want to bring you down to their level. And I'm saying right now, you don't have to, be around those people. You have every right to protect yourself, protect your energy, and, distance yourself from those type of people. Block them if you need to. It's like that phrase in psychology, you are the culmination of the company you keep. So if you're around people that are angry and negative, and, then you kind of vibrate at that similar level as well. So, yeah, okay. That was a really long introduction. So I'm just going to read some paragraphs. I'm going to paraphrase them so I don't get done for copyright. But you can paraphrase. That is under the fair usage. Okay, I'm just going to put it on pause and then select a good paragraph to share. Okay, so one of my favorite phrases from this book is chapter 1, and it's called Live in Day Tight Compartments. And I think this is really relevant right now because of the lockdown, and we're just, in our homes, and our, normal routine isn't there anymore. So we're having to live in day tight compartments. And actually that's a really good way to live anyways. How all these Zen masters talk about living in the present, living in the moment. So I'm just going to read a couple of sentences that I highlighted, that past me highlighted. So one of them is, our main business is not to see what lies dimly at a distance, but to do what lies clearly at hand. He said that his intimate friends knew that his brains were of the most mediocre character. What then was the secret of his success? He stated it was owing to what he called living in day-tight compartments. What I urge is that you so learn to control the missionary as to live with day-tight compartments. Get on the bridge and see that at last the great bulkheads are in working order. Touch a button and hear, at every level of your life, the iron doors shutting out the past, the dead yesterdays. Touch another and shut off, with a metal curtain, the future, the unborn tomorrows. Then you are safe. Safe for today. Shut off the past. Let the dead past bury its dead. Shut out the yesterdays, which have lighted fools the way to dusty death. The load of tomorrow, added to that of yesterday, carried today, makes the strongest falter. Shut off the future as tightly as the past. The future is today. There is no tomorrow. The day of man's salvation is now. Waste of energy, mental distress, nervous worries dog the steps of a man who is anxious about the future. So basically, he's saying that don't worry about yesterday's, stale bread, as the phrase is, and don't worry about tomorrow's bread that you cannot eat because it's not there in front of you. Not worry, but enjoy today's bread. So I'm just going to read a couple of more sentences. The best possible way to prepare for tomorrow is to concentrate with all your intelligence, all your enthusiasm on doing today's work superbly today. That is the only possible way you can prepare for the future. Give us this day our daily bread. Remember that the prayer asks for only for today's bread. It doesn't complain about the stale bread we had to eat yesterday. And it doesn't say, "Oh God, it has been pretty dry out in the wheat belt lately, and we may have another drought. And then how will I get bread to eat next fall? Or suppose I lose my job. Oh God, how could I get bread then?" No. This prayer teaches us to ask for today's bread only. Today's bread is the only kind of bread you could possibly eat. So that's really interesting. I thought of that metaphor even before I read it, so it must have been ingrained in my head without even knowing it. So then he next talks about when we start in the morning, there are hundreds of tasks which we feel that we must accomplish that day. It can be really overwhelming having a huge to-do list. But if we do not take them one at a time, because you can only do one thing at a time, multitasking doesn't really work. They've shown that it's better to just focus on one thing at a time. Otherwise, it can get really overwhelming. And I think that's what stress is having a lot to do but then feeling like you don't have enough time to do it all in. So when we start in the morning, there are hundreds of tasks which we feel that we must accomplish that day. But if we do not take them one at a time and let them pass through the day slowly and evenly, as do the grains of sand passing through the narrow neck of the hourglass, then we are bound to break our own physical or mental structure. So the philosophy is that he was given by an army doctor. 1 grain of sand. Oh, sorry. Okay, I just put it on pause because of a massive aeroplane. Okay, so he has practiced this philosophy ever since that a day that an army doctor gave to him. 1 grain of sand at a time, one task at a time. So the concept of sand passes through the narrow neck of the hourglass, one sand at a time. So 1 grain of sand at a time, one task at a time. Dale Carnegie then talks about how you and I are standing this very second at the meeting place of 2 eternities, the vast past that has endured forever, and the future that is plunging onto the last syllable of recorded time. That's really poetic. So then he talks about how we can't possibly live in either of those entities. Can't live in the past, can't live in the future. We can only live in the present, not even for 1 split second. But by trying to do so, we can wreck both our bodies and our minds. So then he talks about how let's be content to live the only time we can possibly live from now until bedtime, and that is in the present. Anyone can carry his burden, however hard, until nightfall, wrote Robert Louis Stevenson. Anyone can do his work, however hard, for 1 day. Anyone can live sweetly, patiently, lovingly, purely, till the sun goes down. And this is all that life really means. I love that. That's really poetic. So past me highlighted certain sentences in this chapter, so that's what I'm reading, which is really helpful. So thank you, past me. I love highlighting certain sentences that really resonate with me or really stand out and make me think, oh my God, that's amazing. So that, I don't know why I do it. I think I just do it just so that it goes into my head. But then now I realize it's good that I do that, because now that I'm coming back to it, I can reread those highlighted sentences. Every day is a new life to a wise man. So Dale Carnegie talks about how he typed that sentence out and pasted it on to the windshield of his car, where he saw it every minute whilst he was driving. And he found it wasn't so hard to live only 1 day at a time. And he learned to forget the yesterdays and to not think of the tomorrows. Each morning he said to himself, today is a new life. Dale Carnegie talks about how one of the most tragic things he knows about human nature is that all of us tend to put off living. We are all dreaming of some magical rose garden over the horizon, instead of enjoying the roses that are blooming outside our windows today. Why are we such fools, such tragic fools? And it goes back to that expression of how you always think, the grass is always greener on the other side, instead of appreciating the grass in your own garden and cultivating it and nurturing it. Life we learn too late is in the living, says Dale Carnegie, in the tissue of every day and hour. I'm going to say that again because it was very good. Life we learn too late is in the living, in the tissue of every day and hour. Dale Carnegie says, you will recall that the White Queen said, the rule is jam tomorrow and jam yesterday, but never jam today. Most of us are like that, stewing about yesterday's jam and worrying about tomorrow's jam, instead of spreading today's jam thick on our bread right now. Even the great French philosopher Montaigne made that mistake. My life, he said, has been full of terrible misfortunes, most of which never happened. So has mine, so has yours. That's really true, actually, because most of your worries don't even manifest into reality. Worry is thinking about something that could happen, and it takes the joy away from today, because it might not even happen. So worrying about it isn't actually going to make a difference anyway. So if it does happen, okay, you'll deal with it when you get to that bridge. Like, people always say, cross that bridge when you get to it. You can't cross the bridge if it's not there. So, think, said Dante, that this day will never dawn again. Life is slipping away with incredible speed. We are racing through space at the rate of 19 miles every second. Today is our most precious possession. It is our only sure possession. This is the day which the Lord hath made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. And Dale Carnegie talks about how the writer John Ruskin had on his desk a simple piece of stone on which was carved one word, today. Oh, I really like that. And then Dale Carnegie said that whilst he didn't have a piece of stone on his desk, he did have a poem which he pasted on his mirror where he could see it every time he shaved in the morning. The poem was by Sir William Osler, and he always kept it on his desk. A poem written by the famous Indian dramatist. So I'm just going to read just a sentence from the poem. Actually, let's read the whole poem. It seems like a nice poem. Salutation to the dawn. Look to this day, for it is life, the very life of life. In its brief course lie all in the verities and realities of your existence, the bliss of growth, the glory of action, the splendor of beauty. For yesterday is but a dream, and tomorrow is only a vision. But today, well lived, makes even yesterday a dream of happiness, and every tomorrow a vision of hope. Look well, therefore, to this day. Such is the salutation to the dawn. I really like that sentence. For yesterday is but a dream, and tomorrow is only a vision. So Dale Carnegie wraps up the chapter by giving certain bullet points, which I will go through because they're really good. So he says, the first thing you should know about worry is this. If you want to keep it out of your life, do what Sir William Osler did. Number 1, shut the iron doors on the past and the future. Live in day-tight compartments. And then he has a bunch of questions you can ask yourself. Why not ask yourself these questions and write down the answers? Number 1, do I tend to put off living in the present in order to worry about the future, or to yearn for some magical rose garden over the horizon? So what is it that you're putting off doing right now because you're worrying about the future. If you can, start doing it today. I know we're in lockdown, but if you can start making a plan or just, doing whatever you can in this situation. Question 2. Do I sometimes embitter the present by regretting things that happened in the past that are over and done with? So I know I can really ruminate over the past, but all the, Zen philosophers say that, whatever happens in the past, it's happened and, we can't change it, but then it could lead us to shoot off rockets of desires of what we want in our future. Question 3. Do I get up in the morning determined to seize the day, to get the utmost out of these 24 hours? Question 4. Can I get more out of life by living in day-tight compartments? And finally, when shall I start to do this? Next week? Tomorrow? Today? Okay, so now I'm going to read some sentences from chapter 20, and the title is called Remember That No One Ever Kicks a Dead Dog. So this chapter is about criticism and untoward criticism, unjustified criticism. And words are really powerful. They can really hurt you. And, people can say things and then, they'll totally forget about it, but, they'll haunt the person that received them and, lose sleep over them. So people should be really careful what they say to other people because it can really, affect their mental state. And people just are so, flippant and just say things, if they're angry or, whatnot. But the recipient, is just, whoa, that was, really harsh. Okay, so, yes, the elder Hutchins replied, it was severe, but remember that no one ever kicks a dead dog. Yes, and the more important a dog is, the more satisfaction people get in kicking him. So when you are kicked and criticized, remember that it is often done because it gives the kicker a feeling of importance. It often means that you are accomplishing something and are worthy of attention. Many people get a sense of savage satisfaction out of denouncing those who are better educated than they are or more successful. Then Dale Carnegie talks about this example of a woman writing a letter about something. And Dale Carnegie says that this woman wasn't looking for truth. She was seeking the mean-spirited gratification that she got from tearing down someone far above her. And he threw her bitter letter into the wastebasket and thanked Almighty God that he wasn't married to her. Her letter didn't tell me anything all about General Booth, but it did tell me a lot about her. And Chopin had said it years ago, vulgar people take huge delight in the faults and follies of great men. I'm just going to finish off with this example. Dale Carnegie talks about the case of Admiral Peary. He was an explorer who startled and thrilled the world by reaching the North Pole with dog sleds in 1909, a goal that brave men for centuries had suffered and starved and died to attain. He himself almost died from cold and starvation, and 8 of his toes were frozen so hard that they had to be cut off. He was so overwhelmed with disasters that he feared he would go insane. His superior naval officers in Washington were burned up because Peary was getting so much publicity and acclaim. So they accused him of collecting money for scientific expeditions and then, quote, lying around and loafing in the Arctic. It's ridiculous. And they probably believed it because it is almost impossible not to believe what you want to believe. Their determination to humiliate and block Peary was so violent that only a direct order from President McKinley enabled Perry to continue his career in the Arctic. And then Dale Carnegie asks, would he have been denounced if he had a desk job in the Navy Department in Washington? No, he wouldn't have been important enough then to have aroused jealousy. So in summary, if you are tempted to be worried about unjust criticism, Dale Carnegie gives the rule number 1. Remember that unjust criticism is often a disguised compliment. Remember that no one ever kicks a dead dog. Okay, so now we're moving on to chapter 21, and this title is called Do This and Criticism Can't Hurt You. And he gives a story about a major general in the army, and he told Dale Carnegie that when he was young, he was desperately eager to be popular, wanted to make a good impression on everyone. In those days, the slightest criticism smarted and stung. But he confessed that 30 years in the Marines had toughened his hide. I have been berated and insulted, he said, and denounced as a yellow dog, a snake, and a skunk. I have been cursed by the experts. I have been called every possible combination of unprintable cuss words in the English language. Bother me? Huh! When I hear somebody cussing me now, I never turn my head to see who is talking. I love that. That is just so stoic and just so... I just really admire that so much. It's brilliant. This is a really nice paragraph that I highlighted. Dale Carnegie says, I realize now that people are not thinking about you and me or caring what is said about us. They are thinking about themselves before breakfast, after breakfast, and right on until 10 minutes past midnight. They would be 1,000 times more concerned about a slight headache of their own than they would about the news of your death or mine. Even if you and I are lied about, ridiculed, double-crossed, knifed in the back, and sold down the river by 1 out of every 6 of our most intimate friends, let's not indulge in an orgy of self-pity. Instead, let's remind ourselves that that's precisely what happened to Jesus. One of his 12 most intimate friends turned traitor for a bribe that would amount in our modern money to about $19. Another one of his 12 most intimate friends openly deserted Jesus the moment he got into trouble and declared 3 times that he didn't even know Jesus. And he swore and he said it. 1 out of 6. That is what happened to Jesus. Why should you and I expect a better score? I discovered years ago that although I couldn't keep people from criticizing me unjustly, I could do something infinitely more important. I could determine whether I would let the unjust condemnation disturb me. So Dale Carnegie wants to be really clear that he's not advocating ignoring all criticism. Far from it. He's talking about ignoring only unjust criticism. And he asked Eleanor Roosevelt how she handled unjust criticism. And she told the story how when she was a young girl, she was really, really shy, afraid of what people might say. She was so afraid of criticism that one day she asked her aunt, Theodore Roosevelt's sister, for advice. She said, Auntie Bye, I want to do so-and-so, but I'm afraid of being criticized. And Teddy Roosevelt's sister looked her in the eye and said, Never be bothered by what people say, as long as you know in your heart you are right. And this is one of my favorite sentences. She told me that the only way we can avoid all criticism is to be like a Dresden china figure and stay on a shelf. Do what you feel in your heart to be right, for you'll be criticized anyway. You'll be damned if you do, and damned if you don't. Okay, welcome back to part 3. So we're continuing with the concept of unjust criticism and how to handle that and not let it hurt you. So Dale Carnegie gives an example from this president of the American International Corporation, and he asked him if he was ever sensitive to criticism, and he replied, "Yes, I was very sensitive to it in my early days. I was eager then to have all the employees in the organization think I was perfect. If they didn't, it worried me. I would try to please first one person who had been sounding off against me, but the very thing I did to patch it up with him would make someone else mad. Then, when I tried to fix it up with this person, I would stir up a couple of other bumblebees. I finally discovered that the more I tried to pacify and to smooth over injured feelings in order to escape personal criticism, the more certain I was to increase my enemies. So finally I said to myself, if you get your head above the crowd, you're going to be criticized. So get used to the idea." That helped him tremendously. From that time on, Dale Carnegie made it a rule to do the very best he could and then put up his old umbrella and let the rain of criticism drain off me instead of run down my neck. And finally, he ends the chapter by talking about how Abraham Lincoln gave this advice on how to deal with criticism. And it's such a literary gem of a classic that General MacArthur had a copy of it hanging above his headquarters during the war, and Winston Churchill had a framed copy of it on the walls of his study at Chartwell. It goes like this. If I were to read, much less to answer, all the attacks made on me, this shop might as well be closed for any other business. I do the very best I know how, the very best I can, and I mean to keep on doing so until the end. If the end brings me out all right, then what is said against me won't matter. If the end brings me out wrong, then 10 angels swearing I was right would make no difference. Wow, I love that. That is amazing. When you and I are unjustly criticized, says Dale Carnegie, let's remember rule number 2. Do the very best you can and then put up your old umbrella and keep the rain of criticism from running down the back of your neck. I'll say that again. When you are faced with unjust criticism, do the very best you can, and then put up your old umbrella and keep the rain of criticism from running down the back of your neck. So be like a duck and let unjust criticism go off you like waters off a duck's back, as they say. Can I just say, this is just so fun for me. Like, I'm reading... Oh, there's an airplane. 1 second. Can I just say, this is just feeling really cathartic for me, like reading some of my favorite books, reading highlighted things that I've highlighted in the past, and then just reading it out and then adding my own little, tidbits of insight onto it. But it's really great. I'm really enjoying this. I hope you are enjoying listening to this, and that you haven't nodded off to sleep. Well, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe I can turn this into like a sleep podcast and you just like fall asleep from my ramblings. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. That was really cathartic and really helped me as well, because I feel like when I talk about all of this stuff, it kind of concretes the ideas into my psyche, and it just feels really, really cathartic. So thank you so much for joining me in that reading from Dale Carnegie's book on how to stop worrying. So I did some readings from 3 chapters, so I'm just going to end that there right now. And now I'm going to move on to something else that I was thinking about. I was thinking about doing some guided meditation, but on the fly. So when I went on holiday to Jersey, and I know it's like, oh, she's going on about her holiday to Jersey again. It's because it was the last holiday I went on before lockdown. And it was just really amazing. I loved it. I loved Jersey and Channel Islands. It was just so beautiful, and I love the fact that you could just go around the whole island. They had the most amazing bus network, and I just jump on a bus and then I'd be at a beach, and it was just really, really, really lovely. Anyways, so I pulled a whole bunch of cards to get inspiration to write sort of like guided meditation stories, but I didn't actually get a chance to do it. So I haven't opened the envelope, so I thought, oh, maybe I can do something like that with you guys. It'll be like on the fly, so it's going to be interesting. I don't know if it's going to work, but I'll have a go. So the concept of a guided meditation is that you are the leading protagonist in the story that I will be telling. So I love listening to them. There's so many on YouTube. And you just, close your eyes and then you go on a visual journey with your mind's eye, and it's like watching a film with your eyes closed, but you're the leading character. So I've made some in the past and it's just really, really fun. So I'm going to have a go, but if it doesn't work out, if it's just too many, long pauses or me rambling, then I'll probably just delete it. So I'm going to start a new part to it so that you can listen to it from the beginning, and this is just the introduction. Okay, and I just want to finish this podcast and thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate you, and it's just really, really fun for me. I just really, really love talking to you guys, and I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to me talk about random stuff. Okay, I want to wish you a really, really lovely day, and love and light and blessings to you. Thank you for listening. Bye for now. Okay, so I just realized the part is only 7 minutes, so I kind of want to bring it up to 15 minutes so that I can post it on IGTV. So I'm just going to do a positive affirmation for you. So this is going to be just positive affirmation sentences that I wrote ages ago, and I didn't even realize, and I just found it randomly in my drawer, and I thought, oh, this would make a really nice addition to the podcast. So, love is your superpower. You are love. You are kind. You are worthy. You are perfect. Courage is your superpower. You are courageous. You are powerful. You are brave. You have greatness within you. Brilliance is your superpower. You are brilliant. You are creative. You love to discover. You love to learn. Actually, I changed my mind. I'm just feeling really hungry right now, and I feel like I can't really do the guided meditation story, but I will do it. Definitely, it's an idea that I really want to do. So I'll probably do it tomorrow, or see if I have time later on today. We'll see. But yeah, stay tuned. Something that I will be working on in the future. So yeah, I'm just going to end this podcast now and go back inside and have my lunch because I'm really, really hungry. So I'm just wishing you a really lovely day, and thank you again for listening. Bye for now, and catch you in the next episode. Bye.